not such a good idea to go also to LinkedIn, to TikTok, to somewhere else, because then you maybe can lose track where your data is going and where your data is already stored. So this is something for me as a private individual I try to do, to use one service, maybe a second service.
Peak, the innovation talk by ekipa. Peak is an in-depth eye-to-eye exchange between equals with which we want to deliver knowledge and impulses for you to benefit from. Our founder Justin talks to guests about innovation, digital transformation, and the potential of the digital generation.
In today's episode of Peak, I am talking to Christoph Stegemann. I've rarely met a person in my life that has so much knowledge about communications and conversations with people. Christoph has been working at military and defense companies and organizations for more than a decade and has gained so much knowledge about how to gain information, how to gain knowledge from individuals, from people, and shared it within our Peak Talk. Have fun at listening.
Christoph, welcome to Peak, the innovation talk by ekipa. I'm really glad that you're here today.
Oh, thank you very much, Justin. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you. And let's take a look at what we have to discuss.
Absolutely. So let's start with our 6 peaky questions. First one, how would you describe innovation with 3 words?
Oh, that's actually difficult for me with just 3 words, but I will try my very best. Of course, it's something helpful. It's something purposeful, innovation for me. And as well, it solves a problem and doesn't create any new ones.
All right, solving problems seems to be quite important. Regarding problems, that's great for our next question. Which everyday problem that you're familiar with would you like to solve or to be solved with an innovative technology?
Oh, I would like to solve. Obviously, I'm a security guy, so data protection issue. I would like that every application, every technical or every digital application we use has a transparent, understandable way to show me how my data is processed and how my data is used. And this would be some kind of standard everywhere. That would be great.
And that's quite an important topic. We will get back to this later. I'm pretty sure about that. What have you recently posted on social media?
Oh, actually information about this talk. And then there is a lot of discussion right now relating to my last job concerning anti-doping measures. Maybe that's something we will look into in the some later.
Absolutely. What is the first word, the first keyword that comes to your mind when you think of Hamburg?
Oh, it's the river. It's a little bit of salty air, maritime flavor.
All right.
Some words, sorry.
Russian or Arabic?
Oh, Arabiya.
And the last one, reading the newspaper or following the news on your smartphone?
A bit of both. My heart goes with the newspaper, and some things I'm an analog guy. But sometimes it's more convenient and much faster to check on the smartphone.
So it's a mix of both, actually.
Yes, it is.
And that's a pretty good transition for our today's talk. So it's about gathering information, not just from the news, and we will talk about that later on, but also from people and from persons you are talking to and talking with. You have quite an exciting background, actually. So already in our pre-talk, in our briefing talk, I had the impression that you, experienced a lot in your past. And you've been working for about 18 years for the German Armed Forces. You've been working for security purposes, but you've been also working in the private sector at Sportradar, where you led operations regarding anti-doping projects, actually. Maybe you could share some insights about your background. What did you experience in the last years or decades? What were your, where was your focus? And just share some insights with our community about what was your background.
Yeah, thank you very much for the memories that came actually back right now. I started out in the German armed forces. I wanted to be a pilot. I think like every young guy, but then of course with my eyes there were some problems. So, and then I looked for something else. And after my basic training, I went into my first mission to the first time, actually of 4 to Afghanistan, and there I joined the intelligence branch, the intelligence corps, so to say. And in the intelligence, you can specialize a little bit. And actually, I can listen a lot. So I went with human intelligence and joined human intelligence. And there I learned how to talk to people, how to and to listen to people, and how to extract information out of individuals. I did that for you mentioned it, 18 years. And in the army, it's a mixture. You have your command duties as an officer, but also some kind of expertise you are able to build up. So I've just some minor points. Maybe I was able to went to the United States to get more analyst training there. If you heard of the so-called 3-letter agencies, exactly. I trained with them, and I trained with their people. Very, very exciting training with all the different intelligence agencies together. I was able to do a lot of missions abroad with the army. I've been to Kosovo, I've been to Bosnia, I've been to Afghanistan, all the romantic vacation spots where the army is sending you. And there I did all the time human intelligence work. So talking to people of different cultural backgrounds, talking to males, talking to females, talking to old, talking to young people, and all with the purpose and with the intent to gather information about things that are happening there. And then in the end, in the army, I rose to be the director, was the official title for all the human intelligence training. So I had my fingers in selecting new young soldiers to become human intelligence operatives. And also I had influence to create the curriculum, the training, how to become a human intelligence operator, and so on. Very, very exciting time, a lot of traveling. I was able to work nearly every day multinational with a lot of nationalities. But after that, you are happy when you are allowed to come back home. And then I worked for a security agency and a German internal security service in the city of Hamburg. And there I did basically the same. I talked to people when you transition from the army to a civilian authority. It's a total different ballgame. It's maybe similar when you switch from one branch in the private sector to another. And after my time there, I am a curious guy. I looked around for new challenges, and I joined then Sports Radar, a big sports data company. And they set up 1.5 years ago anti-doping branch. And our aim was to improve anti-doping work. So to work together with anti-doping federations, with anti-doping agencies, with law enforcement, with sports federations, and to try to pool all the resources and all the intelligence and the data together to then find dopers and to ban them for life and make sports cleaner. And actually, I will move again from that company to become, I'm right now a freelance security consultant and communications expert guy. And maybe you and maybe also the audience got the glimpse that maybe I've a little bit to tell and to pass on concerning experiences.
Absolutely.
Sorry for the long monologue.
As I already assumed, that seems to be quite an impressive background, actually. So regarding different perspectives, different experiences that you made in all the countries, on all the positions that you had in the past, I think we could talk about that for hours and even days. There are 2 or 3 specific parts I would like to deep dive into it. So the first one is that you started by telling me that you learned on how to extract information from individuals. That's kind of a thing I would like to deep dive into. How do you learn extracting information from individuals? How does that work?
Yeah, maybe the basic concept is there are different ways to talk to people, to approach people. The most effective is usually the friendly way. There's also the unfriendly way, like some kind of interrogation, but that's usually not so efficient. So you try to get to know someone, And the secret, so to say, is you have to learn very fast how his world works. That's actually my words, I call it. So what is this for a person? What's important for him in life? Which values he likes, what he dislikes, and so on. And all with the intent to build some kind of connection, some kind of find some kind of common language. For example, we are both interested in digital projects or in innovation. So I would prepare, and actually did and tried to prepare with both of us. And then we will talk about this topic. And then I will try maybe 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes to try to guess your normal state. That's what I call it. What's your normal state when you communicate with someone? And when I get a feeling about you, how you look at me, how you listen to me, how you react when I make a joke, how you react when I ask a question, then I have some kind of normal state of you. And then I can play a little bit and ask rapid questions or bring you a little bit more into the conversation with the questions. The answers I already know, and there are some, let's say, some kind of techniques you can apply. With that, actually, it depends, of course, on the people on the individual you are talking to. You can see how approachable the person you're talking to is.
And how do you handle? So I totally understand the concept and the approach. I think in executing it seems to be quite more difficult, right? So there are so many different individuals, and I can imagine they have different current states, as you described that. How do you handle it? So I totally understand the approach, and trying to build a connection, trying to build a common language, let's say, yeah. And how do you handle this if you have an information that you want to extract, you have a goal that you set yourself maybe even before the conversation, before the meeting, before the talk. How do you handle with all the reactions that you can't foresee before you start the conversation? How does this work?
Of course, like you mentioned, there is a great variety what you can expect. So here also it all begins with preparation of the talk. Of course, you want to increase the likelihood that you succeed, that you actually build some kind of connection to your partner you're speaking with. That's maybe where open source intelligence comes into the picture. Basically, you try to get as much information as possible about the person you want to talk to, and then to prepare yourself so that you don't have to poke around in the dark what he likes. That I don't have to ask the questions, how do you like your coffee, or which kind of ice cream do you like, or what did you do at the weekend, and so on. And of course, nowadays, it's a lot more easier to get this kind of information, and to get the kind of information what someone likes, which groups he belongs to, which posts he likes in the internet or on digital media or social media. And so that's a major part of a successful talk is, of course, preparation and find out as much you can find about the person you want to talk to.
Okay, I see. When I try to transfer it to the business context, because preparation is something that you always have to do in sales as well, for example. They also have a goal that you want to achieve, for example, winning a new client. From my personal experience, preparation is key, but nevertheless, when you are in a conversation, you can be as well prepared as it can be. Nevertheless, there can be situations where you nevertheless don't achieve your goal, where you come to situations that you can't handle anymore. How do you handle those situations? How do you react when you realize during a meeting, during a talk, during a conversation, he doesn't seem to open himself, he doesn't seem to help me to achieve my goal, to extract this information? Could you maybe share some insights, some techniques there? How do you handle with those situations?
Yeah, of course. That is usually something external that maybe distracts you or distracts the individual you're talking to. If you meet in real life, it's much more easier to have impressions on that one. So when you realize in your talk that actually you're not making any progress, then maybe it's a good idea to just try to shift the conversation a little bit more subtle would be good to another topic. So maybe you are talking to a company who had some kind of anniversary or who had a great success or something like that. So try to find a topic, try to find a common ground where your person you're talking to is familiar with, where he or she can tell something about it, maybe likes to speak about it, and then go away from your goal. Go away from your goal, talk about something else for maybe 3 to 4 minutes or 5. It depends on your timetable and also on the timetable of your partner you're talking to, and then see how he reacts. If, for example, he wasn't present and at, let's say, this big company anniversary, then bad luck. Then you have to find another topic. Then maybe he has an interesting watch or something like that. Try to, of course, it's a little bit, let's say, a little bit abrupt. If you just change the topic, you're talking about selling maybe a new software, and you have a nice watch there. Maybe that's maybe not so smart, but there your preparation, your very good preparation, comes into gear. In the theory, in the business, it's called your lifeline. Usually, when you go into a talk, you have some kind of a lifeline, and when the talk is not going well, you take the lifeline. And that's maybe the social post of the last post on social media, for example, of the individual you're talking to. Or maybe when you do small talk in the beginning, small talk is really important. You maybe detect something that this individual was in a hurry in the morning because he missed the train connection, or his car broke down, or he doesn't like the weather, or his coffee is cold, or he has any coffee, not get his first coffee, something like that. Therefore, small talk is important. So if you look at the structure of the talk, you have some kind of introduction. In the, let's say, Western cultural hemisphere, you talk what's the purpose of the meeting and so on. And after that, small talk is important to get vibes, to get a feeling of your partner, how is he feeling. And when you're along, when you exchange maybe 4 or 5 questions back and forth, listening, answering, and so on, then you move to the business.
Yeah, that seems quite logical. Yeah, I can totally agree on that. Regarding the business context, it seems to be quite clear, right? So you talk to a person, you maybe realize, okay, that's not the direction I want to head to. Then I switch the topic, talk about another topic, then maybe get back to the actual topic regarding my actual goal that I want to achieve in this talk. Regarding a sales talk, I think it's not so important if I don't achieve my goal, for example, closing a new client. Regarding your former job at the German Armed Forces, I think you had completely different goals than winning new clients, for example. What has been the information that you wanted to gather during your conversations with people, for example, in your operations in other countries when working for the German Armed Forces?
Yes, in a way you're right, but the basic I would call it methodology is the same. So you want to ask someone if he knows something about it, and maybe to make it a little bit more interesting. With the army and also with the security services, usually you are asking someone something dangerous or something that could be not very good for someone if he tells you. So that's some kind of challenge you have to overcome to build a connection, even to build a little bit of trust to someone that he's willing to trust you and tell you actually some dangerous information, something like that. Maybe you can feel it a little bit better. Think of something very private, maybe you and your girlfriend or someone from your family shared. And then the total stranger approaches you and wants to know that. Maybe you make plans to buy a flat or something like that. And then someone is asking you about financial details, about the interest rate you are going for. That is usually maybe something you're not willing to give to every stranger on the street.
And that makes you feel uncomfortable at the same time, right? So it's something, if a complete stranger asks me, I don't feel comfortable in the moment and I'm not willing to keep this connection that we maybe built a couple of minutes ago, right?
Yeah. So and of course there's also a point, like you mentioned, there's also a point where there's no sense in talking about this topic any longer. And therefore, you have to get an impression if there is sense to talk to your talking partner furthermore, or should we call it a day and maybe talk tomorrow or 2 days later, something like that. And maybe to go into the structure of the talk a little bit further, it's also extremely important to end the talk with something positive, with something good that's beneficial for someone else, and also beneficial for both. And here again, it's a preparation. It's getting information about your partner. It's smart and it's good if you can offer something. And like in the business world, you can offer something beneficial. You give someone information, even if he doesn't buy your product, but you give him information, or you give him some kind of maybe advice in to improve things or to streamline things. And then maybe next time.
I totally see. So you also give your person you talk to a chance to escape the situation if he doesn't feel uncomfortable anymore, and to start over after a couple of moments, or after a day, or after 2 days. Totally understand that. But what happens if the situation and the timing is crucial? So I can imagine, maybe you see it in another way, but I can imagine that in some situations, especially when you have operations in different countries for the German armed forces, the timing is key, and you don't have time to let the person get out of the situation, talk to the person again after a couple of days. How do you handle those situations, or how did you handle those situations in the past?
Those situations occur, and then usually you fall back into basic motivations of human beings. In literature and also in real life, there are 4 basic motivations of human beings, and that's a nice acronym. It's called MITE. It's money, ideology, ego, and coercion. And that's not very popular, but every human being is attracted by one of those motivations. And if I have something time sensitive, then my preparation is really good, and then I have something I can offer. And it depends on the cultural level. If it's money, if it's counseling, if it's improving something personally for someone, maybe I support him in promotion, something like that. So this is the way to turn to usually. And to go in the business world, if you want to sell, and if your talking partner is not coming to your terms, then maybe you have to do some kind of last ditch effort and lower your price. Or find one other specific advantage only you have, and that you have to sell.
And offering your person you talk to a quick win in this way, right? Something
like that. So that he thinks he makes an especially good bargain, for example.
Okay, I see. One last question regarding your background. As I mentioned before, I could talk about that for hours. I find it so interesting, but we have to keep the time.
Of course.
Regarding your work at the German Armed Forces, you started in your explanations that you have some techniques that are more nice and building a connection, and then there are maybe some techniques that are not so nice regarding how you talk to another individual and how you try to extract the information. Could you share some insights about those not so nice techniques?
Oh, maybe I should say those not so nice techniques. They are all, let's call them, legal. There is a framework. When you talk not nice to someone, it's similar like with the army, like with the police. You have rules to talk to someone not nice. But maybe let's pick the first thing in being not nice. If you order someone, or if you collect someone and bring him to a specific place, maybe your office. And then you are the one in control, and I want to talk to you, and this talk is over when I decided. It's some kind of constraint you put on someone that could, let's say, influence people. And of course, you can ratchet up the level a little bit and can say, hey, this talk is working as follows. I ask questions, you give me answers. And so, for example, someone is not able to speak freely. He just has to answer questions, maybe with yes or no, maybe very specific questions. So that's not nice. And of course, you can say to him, hey, if you don't answer my questions if it's not enough information, then you go to a room, or you sit here as long as you need to think, and then I will come back and we will talk again. So this is not nice. Maybe to elaborate a little bit on that further, in the armed forces and also with the police, there are laws. There's a Geneva Convention, how to treat individuals that you capture or you detain, if you want to say it like that. And usually every civilized country is abiding those laws and those regulations. And what you read about enhanced interrogation techniques and so on, I think I can say it, waterboarding. That is stuff that is not lawful after German laws, and from my personal point of view, it's not useful. It's not useful. There's a very, very extremely specific line where you could think about something like that, but just on a, let's say, professional level. From my perspective, there's no really use for it. And I, as an individual, think if you need to resort to things like that, then you made a grave mistake before.
So you would say there are always techniques that help you extract information so that you don't need those techniques that you just mentioned for gathering information?
Yes. That's going back to what I said before. If I know how your world works, then it's very easy to get into your world and to shake your world a little bit. For example, if I collect you by someone to bring it to my office, and then we have a not so friendly talk. If I know that maybe you have a child and you have to collect your child from the daily care at, let's say, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, then I keep you nearly to 4 o'clock, and then I talk to you and say, hey, Justin, do you want to get your boy from the kindergarten? Just talk to me, and I will release you, because I know how your world works, that you care for your boy. And or if it's important for you that, I don't know, you tell your girlfriend where you are, or you like your car, then so as soon as I know how you work, it's very easy for me to get into you.
So summarized, gathering information and extracting information from individuals is actually all about understanding how the other one's world works?
Yeah, in a nutshell, yes. How does someone work?
That's quite interesting to hear.
And then you find your leverage, and then you can use it.
Okay, totally understand that. And you need to know the techniques, right?
Yeah, and you have to practice, of course. And there's always a wild card that all your training you can throw away because the individual you're talking to is not working like you think. So yeah. In the military, we said the enemy has also a vote, so you can plan like you want. Sometimes it's of no use.
Okay, I see. Let's go to another topic, because when we started and talked about an everyday problem that you want to solve or being solved, we also talked about data. And I think living in Germany and being a German, we both can say that the Germans are they're really serious about their personal data. And we did some research, we found some statistics. There was a statistic that asked a lot of people and asked them, what do you think, how secure is your personal data on the internet in general? 70% of all the Germans being asked said that their personal data is rather unsafe. I think that says a lot about the internet and about the data being used there, but also about the culture of the Germans. What is your opinion about the statistics, and what is your opinion also about the Germans' culture regarding personal data and the switch to the internet to digital data?
Yeah, I have to say I would be extremely interested in that statistic and follow it a little bit up. Because what you said, and that actually also my convincing, that we have pretty tough regulations on that. And as I work with, for example, with Sportradar, a very international company, with the different nationalities, and my analyst, he was an Irish guy, they have totally different regulations, and they are much more open, so to say. So I think it's good to be conscious where your data is and what's to be done with your data. But I don't think it is so critical in Germany, so to say. So I would be extremely interested how this feeling arose. So how does get maybe an individual on the street the feeling that the data is not secure? By law, you are asked to restrict the access to the data if you order a pizza and have to give your email address and your home address and so on. It's all in standard application software. It's all encrypted in a way, so I think it's not that bad.
So would you assume that the Germans are too afraid or too worried about their personal data and the reality isn't that bad? Or how would you assume that the statistics comes to place?
Yeah, in that direction, and I would also say maybe I'm throwing a little bit a stone into the water, but I think the Germans are not very tech friendly, and digital life is, I think, for a lot of Germans something restricting, something dangerous, and but I think there is no need for it. If you understand the mechanics, if you understand the systems behind it, there's no need to be afraid. So yeah, I think Germans are a little bit afraid about new things.
I would totally agree on that point. Regarding the risk, or where there's a risk regarding the personal data, for example, there could always also be advantages, right? So regarding that there's so much data available in the internet that you can analyze, that you can assume something on and make decisions based on data. I think that there are also a lot of advantages that you can use data for. How would you evaluate this comparison between risk on the one side and possible advantages on the other side? Is it something that we need to be more aware of the risk or the advantage, or how would you evaluate this?
Talking to me as, let's say, a private individual, I think it's a good idea if you know where your data is. What do I mean with this? I try, for example, to concentrate on one way of giving my data away. So, for example, if you like Facebook, then do Facebook. Maybe it's from a keeping your data together perspective, not such a good idea to go also to LinkedIn, to TikTok, to somewhere else, because then you maybe can lose track where your data is going and where your data is already stored. So this is something for me as a private individual I try to do, to use one service, maybe a second service, or one company where I put my data in, and then I know where it is. And then, of course, also try to keep track which kind of data you give. So I think everybody has different email addresses. Who's a digital native? You have email addresses, your standard email address, some kind of private email address, maybe also throwaway email addresses, and on some sites you do not completely trust. For example, in other countries and so on. So this is something I would approach as a private individual. As an investigator, as a security consultant, I have to say it's wonderland. Digitalization is wonderland. Because in the past, in the old, I would call it analog world, you had to go out, you had to observe people, you had to follow people, you have to talk to people about other people to get this kind of information. And nowadays, you get it all for free with a powerful search engine, with some special services to get you data out of, for example, the internet or out of social media. It's all coming to your doorstep. So great.
This would have actually been my next question. So regarding the shift to the internet and regarding all the data being available for you just with one click and just by going to Google and Google something and typing something into the Google search field, has it become easier to gather information, for example, from someone you will have a meeting with? Or is it something, or is this data being available online for everyone not of the same value as information that you in your former job, for example, as at the German armed forces had regarding the data?
It depends. I would make a differentiation between, let's say, the worlds. If you are working, for example, in let's say in Europe, maybe in Western Europe, then it's much more easier to gather information about someone. And of course, if it's a digital person. If it's no digital person, then you actually don't find any Instagram, any TikTok, any Facebook account. If it's, let's say, a 85-year-old man who has maybe some kind of old telephone, but that's it, no smartphone, then it's very hard to find information about it. But if you are a digital person, if you are living in a culture where that is where this is normal, then it's very, very easy, and you get a lot of information. You save a lot of time. You save a lot of money, you save a lot of resources, you can do it remote. The searching, you can do it remote. In the old days, you had to go to the place, you have to look, you have to identify and so on. Maybe the downside of this is you don't know if it's actually true. So this is something, if you use open source intelligence, like the name suggested, it's information you can have, but you have to verify you have to verify it a little bit. And then it comes into play that you use different sources. So maybe concentrating on Facebook is not the smartest idea if you are not comparing the information, let's say, with Instagram or with another social media site. One other thing, maybe if you're working, for example, like in the past, in a society or in an area where digitalization is not so common, then it's very hard. Then you find virtually nothing. For example, in my first missions in Afghanistan, 2004, 2005, there was not even a reliable cellular network. So no chance in finding digital information about someone. So then you have to resort to other ways. And I think today there are also societies or parts of societies that do not leave or do not create data you can look online for. So that's a restriction you have to be aware of. And also there are people who are conscious what they do, and they don't leave so much data. So this is the things to keep in mind. But basically, generally speaking, a lot more easier. And nowadays, the focus is going away from not having enough data, but having the right data and to verify it.
Okay, yeah, totally see that point. One more question in this topic. Regarding your personal strategies, you already mentioned some examples, Instagram, Facebook, I can imagine that LinkedIn also is a great source for gathering information from people. Which sources do you use when you want to extract information or prepare a conversation, prepare a meeting nowadays?
All the available ones, so to say. You usually get a lot of information on the available stuff. If someone has, let's say, very restrict privacy settings on Facebook or on other social media, it's more difficult. But sometimes you can find a lot of useful information. For example, at universities, someone studied, and on some older sites. For example, if someone is an enthusiast with cars, for example, there are forums where people talk about each other. So if you got a lead there, that could be interesting, because there's so much data usually when you work in a, let's say, Western environment. I usually restrict myself to a time limit, and that time I take for gathering information about someone. Then I usually check the big social media sites. I check the news. If it's an official position, of course, I check the website of the company. It's always very interesting how someone portrays himself, how the company portrays someone from a psychological point of view. Then my human intelligence training kicks in, and then you usually got enough. Maybe to break it down for business life. If you got a general feeling, how's the company doing business? How old are they? What are their traditions? What are their values? Then look at the individual you will be talking to. How long, for example, he has been with the company. Then you get a good idea maybe how he can work.
And how much time did you take for yourself, on average, for preparing for a conversation or for a meeting?
Minimum 15 minutes. Minimum. Even for a small talk, because usually it's for example. When you go to Facebook, it's nice when someone posted a lot. But really gold nuggets are sometimes in the comments function. So if a post is shared, if a post is commented, and then some kind of discussion between the guy who put the post on his page and then someone who reacts on it, that's sometimes extremely interesting. There you can find gold nuggets in it.
That's quite impressive insight. Yeah, that's quite interesting. I will keep that in mind, definitely. Christoph, thanks for all the insights already provided until now. I would like to continue with the questions from our community, because we announced that we will have the talk with you and regarding your background and all that stuff. And the number of questions that arrived us was way above our average compared to other talks. We had to make a pre-selection, and we brought some of the questions to this talk right now. I will just ask them to you. Maybe you have one or the other response to that. So starting with the first one, you worked a lot of your lifetime for the military. What would you assume? Why is the military a driver of innovation in many fields? Because modern technologies, all of the new stuff, or most of the new stuff, you can always find a source in the military context. What would you say? Why is that?
I think when military has to do something, it's usually very dynamic, and it can be, it can get violent. It can get, it's very serious usually. It's a very serious job, and there can be real casualties, and there can be real damage, and so on. And therefore, I think military has to react fast, has to react decisive, and therefore, and if it doesn't work, it gets thrown away.
So what would you say regarding the economy side? What can they learn from the military in the grade of innovation, let's say?
Yeah, I would say the main advantage I experienced also in my civilian life, so to say, is military usually focuses on one topic. It's called the main effort, and it's one thing, and that you focus on, that you focus the task, that you focus your actions on, and that's it. If you try to focus on 15 different things, then you split up your resources, you split up your what you want to do, and that usually doesn't work.
So having a clearer focus on what you actually want to achieve.
One topic, and if you have more, do them one step at a time, and then prioritize, of course, them.
Okay,
that would be.
I see. All right, the next question. There are some people who are afraid that their data will be misused or used against them. Do you have any approaches or methods that can be used to prevent this?
Okay. Of course, you can limit the data that is available on you. That's a little bit I touched already. For example, if someone approached me about my career, it's only on LinkedIn. So I know that he has been to my LinkedIn page. And if you try to restrict your data that is going out through a certain, let's say, gateway, in this case LinkedIn, then you know where the data was taken from, and then you can react appropriately.
That's a good advice. All right. The next question, and you can maybe assume who asked this question before the talk. I have no idea what this question is all about. Maybe you have an idea about that. Are your 6 friends always with you, also when you are in private mode?
No, they are not. No, they are not. And maybe just to clear one thing, referring to, let's say, intelligence agencies or security agencies and so on, a lot of very, very good and very liberal people work there. So I can speak for Germany because that's where my experiences are. There is intelligence agencies and security agencies and the police. They are all a mirror of society. They are all, they are the median of society as well. And you find some strange people in there, but you find them also in society. But the majority there, they know what they have to do. They know their limits. They know their restrictions. And as my experiences are, there's also a very harsh control. For example, my department head with the security agency, he was one of the most liberal persons I met. He was the one who was authorizing a lot of, let's say, thick stuff like in the question. But if you hadn't a solid case, he would wave you off. He would not authorize it. So, maybe trust a little bit more that they are people who know what they are doing and responsible people.
All right, I understand. Could you maybe share a little more? What does 6 friends mean? I still didn't really get it. I have an idea, but I'm not quite sure about that.
Maybe there's an impression that security agencies listen to your conversation and read your mails and are everywhere. No, they are not. They are much too few, and the data and the technical means they use, it's not so good. So, and there is no need for this. There's also no need for this. There's no need concerning the task of those agencies that they have to do this. So it's a myth.
I see. There you already answered my next question actually a little bit. Nevertheless, that's the last question from the crowd that we picked, and I would like to ask this question again because I personally find it really interesting as well. What is the reality of surveillance methods? Because, I mean, we all heard about the NSA a couple of years ago. We all know FBI, CIA, and all those intelligence organizations in Germany, but especially also from the USA and from other countries. We all know the movies that are about those agencies and all those intelligence organizations. But what is the reality? What are your insights regarding surveillance, regarding methods that they have, technologies that they use? Is it like in movies, or is it Is it more realistic maybe? Do you have some insights there?
Let me put it that way. Those organizations, they are not God. They cannot do everything, and they will not do everything. Again, I'm putting more emphasis on the German ones because the Americans, they have, let's say, sometimes more capabilities. If you are a person of interest, then the things you can do to someone, they are impressive. Then think of yourself, you leave a lot of data, you leave a lot of information. And if you are a person of interest due to reasons, then it is possible to read your mail. It is possible to listen to your conversation. Yes, but the resources you need, the people you need, the work you need to do this is still a lot today. So what I want to say is that is possible, but only when you are some kind of identified person of interest. And nearly, I would say 99.5% is not. So there's no reason to employ this kind of resources on someone. So don't worry. It is possible, but only when you're a bad guy. And we are no bad guys, so all good.
That's a good message. Coming to the end of the talk, we still have 3 questions that we ask all of our talk guests, and I would like to also ask you those 3 questions. First one, what is your goal for the year 2021?
I think that there's one main goal we all have, that we change this situation with our behavior, but also with solidarity with others. So actually, I would like to do my part to come over this pandemic. And another one, of course, for me is to find a new challenge. At present, I'm open to work, and I'm looking around to find a new working home.
I'm quite sure this goal will be achieved quite soon, regarding your background and your experience. From your point of view, what specific technology will change and have the biggest impact on our society, on our world within the next years?
Actually, I don't know, but I hope that in the let's say in the official world, in the world, in the things you have to do officially for your taxes, for your ID papers, for everything where you interact with state authorities. I would like to let digitalization come to Germany in this realm. That would be really great. So, for example, if I need a new ID card, I can apply for it online. If I do something with my tax tax things, I can do it online. I would wish for that there is more digitalization in this part. There's a lot of paper still shuffled around. So if we can overcome this in the next years, would be great. And
less bureaucracy and more efficiency in the public sector, summarized. Okay, and the last question, and it's always the last question in our talks. What is your personal advice for our community, or as we call them, the digital generation?
In all that digital life, in all that digital experience you make, maybe sometimes just think a little bit analog, think a little bit old. For example, if you post an Instagram story from your, let's say, living room, think of it like how it would be in the, let's say, old analog world. Actually, you would open up your front door to the street. You would invite everyone to come into your living room and take a look. And if you have this in mind, then this helps you maybe with your privacy settings, and this helps you maybe in thinking what you can do with posting digital information online. Maybe this is something we all should do sometimes to think like it was in the old days.
And that's a great advice for the end. So, Christoph, all I can say is thank you so much for being part in this talk. I was really excited for this talk before we started because as I mentioned in the beginning already in our briefing call before at the end of last year, I thought, okay, this is going to be really exciting and really impressive, and I was looking forward to all the insights that you could share, and I feel totally confirmed that this talk was really great. Thanks again, thanks for all the insights, and I can imagine that it was not the last time that you are a guest in our talk, so thanks a lot, and much success for your personal journey and for finding a new challenge in the year 2021.
Thank you very much, Justin. Extremely interesting questions. Extremely nice questions. Thank you very much. Thank you for the experience.
Do you want to know more about the talk or the topic? On ekipa.de/peak, you can find every information about our episodes, guests, and topics. We will also keep you updated on our social media profiles. The link you can find in the description box. See you next time at Peak, the Innovation Talk by Ekipa.